What's your like no go though? Like what give me some of your no goes. I'm always curious about what people's no goes are. Like what's a person that like you have no interest in trying to talk to?
Like I don't want to be sound arrogant, but stupid people is what I just can't.
Winners use drugs.
So
Yeah. Like so I was thinking today about are there now in modern times like everybody's trying to do like little tiny home cities and stuff,
mm-hmm.
are there people trying to create quiet spaces, so like people with sensory issues, people with whatever, are there like apartment buildings that are just like, you know, anybody moving in here has to agree to, you know, if you get a noise violation, like
Yeah, it's like a big deal, right? Like if you
yeah.
get a noise violation, it's like a $3,000 fine or some crazy thing like that,
Yeah,
right?
or I was thinking like you get it's a three strikes rule and you can get kicked out.
Yeah,
Like is someone trying to come up with an idea like that, like where it's like super hypersensitive about sound and just like be good to your neighbors and like if you think it might be too loud, it probably is too loud. Like don't
yeah.
do it.
Oh, that would be it. That would be my dream. If that's not an idea, it definitely should be, because I would absolutely love that. To me, downtown living has so many pluses that I love. The thing I hate the most is sharing a wall with another person and not having control over what sounds are going to come through that wall,
Yeah.
right? Like that's what drives me up the wall and would force me to like move out of the core into some place like that. So yeah, having a quiet building where it's just like everyone who moves in here, highly sensitive person type thing, you got to keep it quiet. I'm into that.
See, that's the thing. Like I would love it to be mandatory that headphones are the way you listen to shit.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
right.
nobody has radios, nobody has TVs, nobody has anything that's not.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go like the problem. I
I'm
have a
talking
problem.
extreme.
I kind of have a problem with headphones because I have tinnitus. So like putting headphones in this ear is just really uncomfortable. But the thing is for me is like I'll play music at a level that I can hear crystal clear the music, enjoy it as much as possible, and I can go into my washroom, close the door, and I can't hear the music
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's the level it's at.
Yeah.
So there's no way it's making it through a concrete floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why people need it so loud that I can hear it
Yeah.
through the floor. It makes no sense, right?
No, I'm with you. That's how I operated my apartment building too. But I think like the counter argument is some people are not as attuned to their own actions bothering
Right.
other people, right? Like they're very present and they're living their life and like this is what they want to like they're not hyper focused on other people.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also it's about um, projection, right? Like people are going to assume other people are going to be bothered by the same things that they're bothered by.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people, if they hear muffled bass coming through the wall, they don't care about that. So to them, doing that to another person isn't a problem,
Right.
right? Whereas for me, muffled
Oh
bass
my
is
God.
a just I can't handle it at all, right?
Well, that's the thing. Even in this place, like I worry, like because I do play it insanely loud, right?
Mm.
But like the closest neighbors are probably the place that I'm on, right? And they've never talked. Like nobody's ever come and talked to me about it, right?
Right.
I think I have slightly changed in that way, but I've gone outside to test it. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've played it at like a volume that is uncomfortable to me to just go see like if I did have a party here and someone cranked it up, would it be a problem? And it's not because this is such a high place. Like for whatever reason, the sound is just like higher off the ground and
yeah.
dissipates differently.
And I'll do the same thing, right? If I'm playing music at a level and I'm worried it's a bit too loud, like I can just go outside into the hallway of my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when I've knocked on the door of the people upstairs, I could hear the music before while I was in the hallway, right?
Yeah.
So I know I get a sense from that. If I can hear the music in the hallway and this is what it sounds in my unit, if I can't hear the music in the hallway when I have it on, chances are no one else can hear it.
Yeah.
Either, right?
But this is like also why like campgrounds are a perfect example.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't been to a campground in probably 10 years and I went and yeah, someone brought these enormous like 6-foot speakers
Right.
that they had playing in the ground and it was just like boom, 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 the whole like till fucking 4 a.m. and it's like I'm like, what are you doing? Like there needs to be again separation between loud people, quiet, like because there are people that care and about sound and people that just really don't seem to. And it's like, can we not have better systems in place to keep these two drastically opposing?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Would love that. Camping is a nightmare for me for that reason, right?
Oh.
Especially since I camp in a tent. So there's like a piece of fabric
I know.
between me and the outside world, and you get just people doing whatever. I was staying in one place, and these people came in at must have been midnight and set up camp, and they were chopping wood at midnight, and you're like, you can't do that. What is that, right? So, yeah, and you're right. It's people. Some people just that's not a problem for them.
Well, I mean, like, even when people are reported, what's the warden kind of dude?
Oh, the park ranger.
Yeah, like they turn it down temporarily. The moment he leaves, goes back up, right?
Yeah.
Like my experience was a nightmare. Like even the people that are being quiet, it's like it's terrible. Like because as you said, it's like these guys were 10 feet away from me having a conversation.
Right.
It's like having a podcast on I didn't want to be listening to. And at one point I was just like, it was like after an hour, I was like, hey guys, do you mind going to fucking bed? Like it's 4 a.m., you fucks. Like, what are you doing? Like, of course people can hear you. Like just at some point it's like, there's a tolerable, it's like, okay, if people want to talk till like, 1, it's like, that's understand. Are you staying up the whole night? Like, should I start having my morning breakfast right by your tent? Like as payback? Do you know what I mean? Like oh my God. Anyways, it was a nightmare trying to camp the last time I went. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. Like if I do, I'm going to go to Crown Land and go do it,
Yeah. Except on Crown Land, it's worse.
What do you mean? Out by yourself?
If you can get out to a place by yourself, but you need to get to those areas, you need like a 4x4 vehicle that can handle that terrain, right?
Oh no. There was a girl that I picked up at like the edge of Golden, and like she just needed a ride up the road because she was staying by the river. That's what I mean. Like she was just by herself by the river.
Yeah, I mean that's the place I went to last year. That was Crown Land. It's like it was very tenuous that my Prius was going to make it into the area that we needed to camp.
Yeah.
It did, which is great. Actually, the Prius has a bit of a higher clearance than other cars, so that's kind of cool. But it was close, right? And there were people not too far away. They were chainsawing down trees, like literally cutting the tree down and cutting it into blocks. Yeah. Right. And that's even worse because there's no rules out there. Right.
Yeah.
And then the second night, people just started pulling into like the same area that we were camping in, like really close, like closer than,
well, they were like, oh, there's people here. This must be a great place to be.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like, I think if you can find a secluded spot, that's great. If there's a way to do that with with a Toyota Prius, I'm in heaven for sure. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that probably Crown Land attracts people that don't like rules either.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're going to be the fuckos. They're chainsawing whatever the hell they want. Cause it's just like, no warden's going to tell me to do shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The people go out there like, guy I know who's in a band, right? A heavy metal band. They went out there and they brought all their equipment, right? I don't know how you power an electric guitar out in the middle, maybe a generator or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's what they were doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were going out there specifically because they need to practice, and practicing in the city is where you get complaints, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, we used to have adjacent from our like clubhouse in Edmonton, we had a screamo garage.
mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Like those things constantly had the police called on. Like it was like every day. So I was like, yeah, what do you do if you're really into screamo and you're trying to build an audience? It's like, cool. Like your songs are a minute long, but you're getting shut down after literally 5 minutes because this is the third week you've tried to host a party here on a Friday, right? Like,
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is, but I'm definitely one of those people that, and it sucks because I like it quiet, but yeah, maybe occasionally I want to play loud music too. I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah. What would your be? So like you said, like you like living downtown.
Yeah.
You like being around people. If you could envision what your ideal building would be like, what would it be like?
Yeah, I mean, it would be thick walls so there's like acoustic privacy, right? There would be, actually interesting. Like I was thinking the other day, and you might be surprised to hear me answer it this way, but there's these like shared living type. I don't know if you've heard of these.
Like WeWork spaces?
Well, kind of like WeWork, but WeWork is like shared office space, right?
Yeah.
But there's certain buildings where everybody has their own private unit, but there's like a common area where everybody in the building meets for a meal once a week or something like that. I would really like a living circumstance like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really cool idea. And
until you're telling Becky that her fucking potato peels in the sink are driving you insane. And then you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I hate having roommates.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I'm a pretty like I'm surprisingly chill kind of person, right?
Yeah.
So that doesn't bother me. What would bother me is, talking to people that I just don't relate to at all. And it's just like, oh, we know each other because we live in the same building. That's the only connection we have. And now I'm forced to talk to you, right?
Yeah. I see. It's funny. It's funny that you bring that up because, like, I know friends that like had this big idea to buy a piece of land and exactly this, like, construct your own like mini community or whatever. What is our desire to do? Like, because like I've always thought, like, again, like that same idea. I would like to have a pod that I can just go retreat to. No sound can penetrate it. Nobody comes to bother me. Mm-hmm. It's like an unspoken rule. You don't go knock on someone's door. Like you text them or whatever. And like, but I could come out and if I was feeling social, I'd be social with people, right? But I have my own space.
Yeah.
But like, why do those always go to shit?
Yeah, because people don't get along.
Yeah.
There's a way to do it. There's got to be like we understand like some level of personality theory, and it's like it should be possible to only let the kind of people in that are going to get along with each other, right?
Well, there's this TikTok of this like group of Irish people that are like living communally. And like one of their biggest videos is like the guy goes around and asks, "Are we a cult?" Like, because everybody on TikTok's like, "What is this weird fucking cult?" Like, what? And like everybody, responds, "No, of course it's not a cult." Except the one funny guy, of course, who's like, "Yeah, we're for sure a cult." Right. But like, it looked like it looks like, I should say, from the outside, like a really utopian kind of idea. It's like they have a woodworker guy, they have like anything that needs to be built, they just kind of do. They all have a good system of sharing whatever. But like inevitably, one person's going to get into that community and like destroy it, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it always seems to be like a group, one person or one group. Like, oh, so anyways, these friends that I peripherally know tried to go start their own thing, but it's like power dynamics eventually come into it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like if you don't have a good charter of like nobody should be in power, here's how we decide stuff. But even then it's like because I used to live in a communal home, right? Even then you start to see these like divisions of people after you vote on certain stuff, right? It's just like, well, they helped me vote this thing in, I'll help them vote this thing in, and we'll shape it to be more our idea than, you know.
Yeah, and I don't want that. I don't want a circumstance where I'm living so intertwined with other people that those kind of power dynamics start to unfold, or that the power dynamics are they have a significant impact on my life. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking like I want communal spaces that connect these people in these buildings together. Like it could even be like a coffee shop in a building that only the people in that building
that
go
would be
to.
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, and so you just go down and the coffee's shit, but it's like there's no profit on it, so it's super cheap or something. Mm-hmm. And you just start, you have just enough of a connection with the people that you can go up and talk to them and it's not super weird, right?
Right. And see, that's the thing though, but like going back to your like if you do have someone that you find miserable to talk to, what's the like
what's the out?
Yeah, like this like it'd be nice if you had like a there was some kind of code. Like
yeah.
It was just kind of like a dating app kind of thing where it's like I fuck with this person, this person no thing, and like that person knows like this person does, like, because for me personally, I'm not gonna try to change your mind if you don't like me. Yeah, I know there are those types of people, but like if someone just had a red flag on their shoulder towards me, like, you know, it'd be like, okay, cool, I know not to waste my time talking to that person. Like, great. Like I would like some kind of futuristic kind of thing where it's like,
yeah, well, the way to do that is just to be more yourself. As weird as that sounds, but it's like we all kind of put on this act to get people to like us, right? And it's like if you ever were fully authentic and just like absolutely the 100% the most genuine version of yourself, you're going to put off a lot of people. I that's the way I sort of feel.
I disagree.
Maybe
this is a whole topic on its own. Because I think that's what connects me to so many people I don't even like.
Yeah.
Is because people see that I'm very authentic and so and vulnerable and whatever. And like for them it's like, oh, okay, this guy is really, you're right. Like I don't.
But maybe like it's a tough one because I can't tell you who you are, right? Like I only have your experiences as evidence of this or that. Mm-hmm. But it's possible that you accommodate people more than you're willing to admit, and that gets them to like you, right? Like you're not being the absolute truest version of yourself that you can be, right?
Oh, you're 100% correct. Like you're 100% correct. Like, and that's the like dating is the perfect example. Mm-hmm. It's like I wouldn't say I'm myself for 3 months.
Yeah, right.
I'm like, and this is why like every time it's actually getting closer to me, like me learning I need to be more me sooner. Do you know what I mean? Like I was literally talking about this today with my psychologist. She's like, this is like this whole texting game, thinking about texting game, anything like that. Like this is all anxiety shit that you're throwing into a relationship. It's not you at all. You're trying to think what the other person wants you to be and not actually who you are, right? So I'm still doing that shit with people. And like it drives me insane. So like in that way, like dating is the extreme. Friends though,
Yeah, but that's the beauty of it, is like if you are around someone that you just can't stand, but they won't leave you alone, you just have to be progressively more and more yourself, to the point that you enjoy being around them because you can be your absolutely true, authentic self. Like if I'm talking to someone that just is horrible for me to talk to, and I just start going off on the subjects that I've always really wanted to talk about, but I just feel like most people wouldn't jive with it, and this person's still into it, do I still hate the person? Like I'm now being able to talk about the things I've always wanted to talk about, right?
right? But I guess that's the difference between me and you though, is like I feel so negative towards a person. Like it's very rarely does a person recover in the sense of like what my first judgment of them is.
Yeah, right. And that's like you can just hate the person, right? And but they're unaware of that, and they're just talking to you and wanting to be your friend, and you're like, "Oh, well, you said this thing the other day that just goes against some of my core beliefs, and I just can't deal with that," right?
But I'm also very unlikely to, like, the moment someone has shared something that I just fundamentally disagree with, or their energy is really negative and it's really making me feel negative and whatever, I'm so quick to shut that down, or to like, I immediately cut out the placating stuff.
Yeah. But can't you just...
Which is the authentic me, to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that's happened a few times with strangers where it's just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like I get to a point where I actually am like confrontational, because it's like, I'm engaged in this shit conversation I don't want to be in. How do I end this? I can't just get up and walk away.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Not so much confrontational, but the person, you have nothing to lose by just saying whatever the fuck you want to them, right?
They're low stakes.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously you don't want to escalate into like a violent confrontation. You don't want to say anything that's going to piss them off, but you can just...
Well, depend.
Yeah, or
Speak
maybe...
for yourself. Sometimes I like to poke.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, right? But yeah, like you can... I do that a lot with the MBTI group, where I just get stuck talking to someone that is just like, I don't care about you. I don't want to talk to you. So I just start saying whatever the hell I want. And if that person can still engage me, then maybe I was wrong about them. Maybe they are someone I could...
How is that satisfying to me? Like, that's the curious thing to me. So like, if you're finding someone incredibly boring and you start to share an idea or whatever, how does it flip?
Because maybe they also, maybe like, let's say I'm imagining...
Do you have any examples?
Yeah, like I'm imagining a situation where there was a person who was talking about how Canada doesn't work its employees enough, right? They're like, oh, we're not competitive on a world stage because we have all these labor rights, blah, 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 right? Like that's a horrible position to take, right? Mm-hmm. So I just completely started to dismantle and take apart their ideas and show them why they're wrong. And that person got really upset and basically left, mm-hmm. right? So to me,
because they didn't want their ideas challenged, they just wanted someone to agree.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, that's ideal because the person's not there anymore. Mm. Had that person actually be into hearing their ideas challenged to that level, that's also a good person. That's also someone I would maybe get along with, because now I have like like a debate buddy or something, right?
Yeah, because it can be really fun to have. That's what people are like super woke people, for example, are missing is like it is fun to talk to people that you disagree with. You don't have to agree with everybody. Like I would say some of my favorite friendships ever are like that, where it's just like people cannot understand my mindset at all.
Right. Like I want to have like a fun-loving conservative friend that has political ideas completely opposite to mine, but we have fun sort of attacking each other on that level, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be an awesome sort of friendship to have.
I
right?
had that, and I never would have imagined prior to that friendship that it was possible for me to engage with someone that watched Fox News religiously. Like that blew my mind that like this person was taking in Tucker Carlson and didn't see him for the tool that he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, no, Tucker's got some good points. And I had to listen to his points and like, either kind of like be like, that's interesting. You know, have you considered this, or, you know, why this might be stupid. But like, here's the thing. He was not what like the media projects all Trump supporters to be, which is like really dumb people that can't think for themselves, right? Like it's like he's a smart dude. Like he actually would hear arguments in the same way that I would actually listen to, like it wouldn't have worked if we both weren't willing to give a bit, right?
Right.
And like I think that is what people are missing out on as the fun is like you grow either one way or the other. It's like that quote that like if you want to know what your positions are, find someone that completely disagrees with them, and you'll get better at reinforcing your points and explaining your worldview and how you feel, right? Like people that never are challenged on their ideas, like they don't have good, like,
yeah, I want to be challenged all the time by the people in my life. In fact, I would probably enjoy someone who is completely opposite me in a conservative type person. I would enjoy that interaction more if we can interact in that way without it getting personal or whatever, more so than I would a left-leaning person who maybe shares my beliefs, but they're completely dogmatic and about it, and you can't sort of challenge them anytime, right? I would hate that person, well, even though
it's an aggression to challenge them,
right,
Jason.
So yeah, that's an interesting.
What's your like no-go though? Like what? Give me some of your no-goes. I'm always curious about what people's no-goes are. Like what's a person that like you have no interest in trying to talk to?
Like I don't want to sound arrogant, but stupid people is what I just can't deal with, or even really egotistical people.
But right. Like what's your metric for stupid?
That's a tough one to say, but it's just like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a certain.
Well, like does education play into it? Like for example, like women on dating apps, right? Almost always select they like a college educated guy.
Yeah, no, education isn't it at all. Actually, that sort of made me think of something. It's one of the worst insults that someone can say to me that really bothers me is that you're weird, right? Okay. That's the one I hate the most. Is like if I'm expressing an idea and someone says, "Wow, you're weird," right? That person immediately I almost like check out of.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's
yeah, now I'm curious. Like what happened to you as a child that made you, because like
I was just a weird child.
Well, right, but like that's the thing. Like people, like I get told I'm weird all the time, but it's like that doesn't faze me at all. It's like, yeah, I get it. I'm not like most people. Like, yeah. I think it's like, I think I'm one of these like neurotypical. I think you would categorize me as neuro, or
That-
what's that called?
Yeah, neurotypical. Or
It's a new term that some
Yeah.
people have been throwing around. I don't really get it.
there's like neurodivergent or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I get told I'm weird all the time. So maybe I'm just desensitized to it.
Yeah, but I feel like people who use the term to say, like, if someone says you're weird, it's because they don't have the cognitive capacity to engage with what you're presenting, right?
You think it's like dismissive? Like what?
Yeah,
like what? Give me a context of like when someone would say you're weird.
Like I had a situation where we were talking about smoking marijuana, and I said that smoking marijuana actually makes me more focused. It actually gives me energy and allows me to get stuff done. And someone was like, "Wow, you're weird."
I'm starting to think this person was me.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Because
At all.
I feel like I would say you're weird. Well, I mean, like, I feel like specifically I've said you're weird with weed because you were one of the first people that I'd ever heard that, like, a small amount of weed is not, like...
Yeah, well, maybe you said it, but you also took some time and effort to understand and sort of allowed me to sort of explain myself. It wasn't just like, you're weird, let's move on, right?
Oh, like you were saying, like, it's just, like, that's a conversation ender for them.
Yeah. And then to me, that points to someone who just isn't capable of entertaining ideas that are too far outside their bubble, right?
I clearly recollect saying you're weird because I had never heard of. I now know two people that are like unbelievably affected by weed, like in a just even the smallest amount is just like it's such a different experience. They get shit done. They like it's nothing like every one of my other stoner friends that's just like, we're going to watch TV for like 9 hours now.
Right.
Like, you know, like
The
I'm going to
normal-
melt into this couch. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right.
And so I probably, I'm almost positive I said you were weird, but then probably followed it up with, I'd never heard of.
Yeah, I guess I'm not too hung up with that specific term, but it sticks in my memory a lot of people saying that and me just doing a 180 on them and saying, I don't ever want to talk to this person again. Maybe it hasn't happened all the time, but I know it has.
See, I've never thought of it as a dismissive term. Like I always think, for me, it's always the context. Women like say it all the time as like a flirting thing.
Yeah, but
You're so weird.
that's fine, right? Well, no, that's fine if I'm trying to be weird. Like maybe I'm just trying to act in a way that I'm intending to be funny.
Yeah.
And they say, "Wow, you're so weird." But if I'm expressing something genuine,
Like an actual thought.
yeah, and they say, "Wow, you're weird," that cuts me somehow, right? I don't know.
See, I think I'm like you without the visceral response. Like if someone just said I'm weird to one of my ideas, I'd be like, why is that weird? And I'm like, you're just weird. I'd be like, okay. Like then I would get to the like fuck you point. Like
Right.
So I think I would get there eventually, but like someone just saying you're weird, you have weird ideas, it's like, okay. I immediately put them down. Like not in a I'm gonna say that to their face, but I'm immediately like, oh, you're not worth talking to. You're not worth my time. Like you're a moron. Like so, yeah. On your point, it's like it is dumb people. Now that I think about it, if you can't explain why you think it's weird or why it's different, or go into more depth and just continue to say someone's weird, it's like,
Yeah. Do you have any no-goes now that we're on the subject?
oh, I mean, religion is. I have
Religion.
no fucking inclination to want to be a part of talking. Like, for example, like I've told you, like I went to an atheist meetup when I came down here, and like all I learned is that all these ex-pastors had just transferred their hyper religious Christian shit onto being hyper religious atheists. And
Right.
so like I didn't want to engage with like, so it's not even religion. It's just anybody that takes anything that's too intense. Like I don't want those are my no-goes. It's like, if you are so convinced your idea is right, I generally can't fuck with you, because it means like you are not even willing to hear the other side. Like I started to be the guy that was like, how do you know you're right? Like, to all the atheists, like, just like, you don't know. Like, have you literally gone and read all these like Big Bang textbook? Like, have you actually schooled yourself on all the knowledge, or have you just participated in this groupthink thing, like every religion thing? Like, it's just, yeah.
I had the same experience with those atheist discussion groups. Is like, these people never left religion; they just transferred to something else, right?
Totally. They're not interesting people. Like,
Right.
they're not, that is the main focus in their life. Like, they're thinking about going and protesting a book at like being taught in school, or like going to confront a guy that has an abortion van, or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like making movements the focus of my life. Like, I am very much a hedonist, in the sense that, like, that's not fun for me. Like, why would I spend my Saturday going to hang out with these people?
Yeah, well, it was something I noticed about you that I always found interesting, is that you weren't, because you came from a religious background, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I always thought that what we were just talking about was something that people with intensely religious upbringings had to do. They had to constantly keep reminding themselves about why God doesn't exist and why they don't have to worry about heaven and hell. And that's why those groups
Do
existed.
you mean if you get out of it?
Yeah, yeah. Like, if you convert to atheism and you have all of this brainwashing to undo, you get into these groups and you just need to talk about all the logical inconsistencies of Christianity and stuff like that to reinforce this change that you've made, right?
I don't think you're necessarily off on that. I think that probably is the case for a lot of people. But it's like, I never believed. Like, I was like 8 years old when my dad was like, "Do you want to invite Jesus into your heart?" And I was like, "No." Like, what?
Right.
What the fuck does that mean? Like, yeah. And like, I always thought, like, my grandpa was a missionary. Like, my grandparents were missionaries. But I've always fucking hated missionaries. Like, I think it's disgusting. Like, it's one of the worst things to me to go to a culture that has less, give them all this shit. It is like brainwashing. It's like, you're naturally going to think these people might have a good message if I now have water that I don't have to walk.
Yeah.
I fucking hate religion. This is why I cannot have that friend, because they feel that visceral if we try to engage, whatever. And for me, it's like, I've also stopped trying to talk to people that are religious, because it's like, I'm not going to be the catalyst for their cognitive dissonance. Like, that just naturally happened to me at some point, where it's just like, these things aren't going to add up. Like, it wasn't until I was like 22 that I realized, like, oh, they're like, I used to really have a fear of hell, even though I never believed.
Right.
Like, so I guess I believed on some level, but like, I wanted, like, I constantly asked my parents not to go to church, and like, people would continue to wake me up and ask me if I want to go all the time when I was 15 or whatever. And like, anyways, something at 22, like, one of my friends, seeing what happened to him, he basically realized he's an atheist, and like, his wife is not, right? And so it was kind of like, they had a very mutual, like, it was like one of those like great divorce stories where it's like a mutual whatever. But the Christians that were friends with this dude, they would gather to gossip, to talk shit about him, to say that he's ruining this family, to like, you see all the toxic, like, they throw him out as a person. And it's like, anyways, I had a discussion with him after this, like, when this was all going on. And I was like, I'm absolutely that rat that's like, if you're going to talk shit behind someone else's back and treat him a different way, it's like, I'm for sure going to relay that shit to him. Like, and I was like, dude, like, seeing how people talk about you has made me realize, like, there's no way, like I forget specifically what he asked me, but he's like, it was something about like, why are you still being controlled by a thing you don't believe in? And like something just switched like that day, and it was like, oh, I became incredibly fearful of death in a way that I hadn't prior. Like, but there was some cognitive dissonance that just like whatever he said just like challenged my like, yeah, why am I hanging on to this bullshit I don't believe in? But then suddenly it was like, oh my God, there's no point to anything. Like it kind of like
Yeah.
cuts your knees. Like, you know, it's like you have to reshape your worldview, you know? And so I just feel like it doesn't matter how many discussions you have with religious people, unless they're asking you questions, it's not like, and like, that's the other thing is like most religious people to me trigger the shit out of me because them asking me questions is a disingenuous venture. It's like they're trying to suck you into being friends with them so you come to their team. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's not a genuine discussion of whether or not.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you said about struggling with sort of the meaning of life, because that's another thing that I've seen a lot from ex-religious people is like they leave the church and it's like they're like, life is meaningless. There's no purpose. There's no point to it all, right? And that could be another reason why they sort of need to get together and discuss atheism in a way that's eerily reminiscent of religion.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. They drop one torch, like
Yeah.
they have one like they've been brought up to evangelize, to connect with others, to be kind, to blah blah blah, and then for whatever reason for them, it just, if they lose religion, suddenly they can't just identify as someone that's good to people around them and like helps out at their food bank and whatever. Like it needs to be for a cause. And like,
Yeah.
I have never felt that valuable. Like I've never thought I need to have some big idea as the reason I live. Like it genuinely is to me, like if I can, yeah, like just like the pandemic sucks shit, right? Yeah. But it's like I'm still existing. I'm still in the first world, whatever. I mean, first world term is outdated, but you know what I mean? Like it's like I'm comfortable. Like, yeah.
Yeah, but are you okay with the fact that you're just a random assortment of molecules on a rock somewhere in a vast universe that could just as well not exist and it wouldn't change anything? Like you're perfectly okay with that circumstance?
Now, yeah. So like now I totally am. It's like I still drive like a maniac because I know this will probably be the most likely way I die statistically is driving, right? But if I was really fearful of dying, I would curb that habit, in my opinion. And so like the people that I end up getting along with most are people like me that don't assume we're gonna live tomorrow. It's like a fucking asteroid could hit us tomorrow. Like it could just be done. Like there's a reason I got a vasectomy. It's like I don't care if there's legacy or kids or like, yeah. So I'm totally okay with being a random block. Like I just try to impact as many people as I can in a positive way while I'm here. I think that's all you can really, I think that's really all people should be focusing on is just, again, like it's cheesy, but like making the world a better place in whatever way you can.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that it's your lifespan is very uncertain and literally anything can happen at any time that ends it. And so there's no guarantee that you're going to make it to a certain age. But at the same time, it's like I want to feel that my life has a purpose. There's a reason why I get up every day and I go to work and I move my feet one in front of the other towards something, right? Like I can't just accept that it doesn't matter, I guess, right?
Yeah. But I like, again, like that's just, I I think I'm jealous of people that like I'm definitely jealous of people that have these like, you know, reasons to be wanting to live, or like when I'm 40, like they have these like, by the time I'm 40, I want to be at this place. Like whereas I'm just like experiencing it. It's just kind of like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know is the greatest sentence to me, like in anything. And like, this is why I'm trying to say it more often now. Like, rather than trying to have an opinion on something, it's just like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's like, I don't know if the world will collapse. It's fun to pretend. It's fun to try to guess. I really don't have a like future thinking kind of brain. Like, it's like, live for now. Like because you hear like so many people, like it's like that promise of retirement, right? Like, if you just get a good job, you'll work and you'll live and you'll eventually get retirement. And it's like, well, yeah, unless you get cancer when you're 50 and totally regret spending all your time in that office, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, good point.
Like, to me, it's just, no fucking guarantee. So like, that's why, like, it's always like, I've always said, I would love to have a brain that just loves to go to an office and come home and do fuck all, because I think it's a very calm way of living to like think like this is just going to continue.
Yeah, I see that too. I mean, I think for me, the uncertainty, I see uncertainty in life, but my check against uncertainty is to do the right thing, right? Like, if you have like a strong ethical sense and you're like, oh, well, I don't know, I could save money all this time and then die of cancer my last day of work, and my retirement money, all that money I saved, I could have just spent and enjoyed life, blah, blah, blah. Like that, for sure, that can happen. But it's like, if you live with good ethics, those you'll never regret. You'll never say, oh, I should never have done all the good things that I did throughout my life, right? That's sort of a...
Right. Well, isn't that stoicism? The like, just do the right thing, you won't have regrets.
Yeah, maybe. I actually don't know.
I don't know. I don't know enough philosophy, but like, there was a philosopher that was just like, you'll never have regrets if you just constantly strive to do the right thing.
Right. That's if that's stoicism, then I'm definitely a stoic, because that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.